Tonight on To The Point, parental notification. More school districts consider the policy. Could it be on your ballot next year? The fire danger is increasing, where PG&E warns the power might go out this week. And marking 60 years since the March on Washington and the renewed call for Martin Luther King's dream. Good evening. This is To The Point. I'm Alex Bell. A parental notification policy is expanding across the state. More school boards are requiring staff to notify parents if their children request to be identified by a different gender or name. And now a group is pushing to get this and more on your 2024 ballot. Rebecca Habegger was at the state capitol today.
We're taking these issues directly to the voters.
A group of parents rallied at the Capitol Monday around a heated issue involving transgender youth and more parental control in schools.
Advocating for parents' rights and protecting kids from dangerous and unproven policies and ideology.
A group called Protect Kids California wants 3 statewide initiatives placed on the November 2024 ballot. One, known as parental notification, would require schools to alert parents when a student asks the school to treat them as transgender. The second would ban transgender girls who were assigned a male sex at birth to compete in girls' sports. The third would prohibit the use of puberty blockers, hormone therapy, and genital surgeries for minors in all of California. In a post Friday, Democratic State Senator Scott Wiener called the group anti-LGBTQ bigots who are targeting trans kids.
To call us transphobic is painful to me because we all love our children, whether they identify as trans or not. We still love our children and we will still support our children. We may not support the transgender identity.
We're already seeing some of this at the local school district level. Back in July, ABC 10 reported on Chino Valley Unified School District and board members vote to approve a parental notification policy. It requires teachers, counselors, and staff to notify a student's parents within 3 days of learning the student wants to be treated as a gender other than the sex they were assigned at birth. But now California Attorney General Rob Bonta is suing Chino Valley Unified. In a news release, he said, "Every student has the right to learn and thrive in a school environment that promotes safety, privacy, and inclusivity regardless of their gender identity." We're in court challenging Chino Valley Unified's forced outing policy for wrongfully and unconstitutionally discriminating against and violating the privacy rights of LGBTQ+ students.
Aaron, do you want to...
People here say parents have a right to know what's going on with their student at school.
The government has no right whatsoever to withhold information from parents, particularly information as serious as whether a child is experiencing gender dysphoria, an extremely serious situation. Parents must be involved in this extremely delicate and complicated time in a child's life.
And Becca Habegger joins us now. Becca, a lot going on there. What is next for this group, though?
Well, so for each initiative, they need to gather 550,000 petition signatures. The group will have 6 months to collect that total required signature count.
And I do want to ask you, as for the parental notification policy, districts in our area will be taking up that issue soon, right?
Yeah, according to the Sacramento Bee, Elk Grove Unified is set to hear a presentation about parents' rights at its next meeting on September 5th. And Rockland Unified is looking into strengthening parent notification policies, and we'll hear a presentation on the subject at its September 6th meeting. And Alex, we're working to get more information on what this practically means at each district level. As for what's next, we will be following to see if the policy is implemented.
Yep. Thank you so much, Becca. And we will continue to follow this. A social media post made by Rockland School Board President Julie Hupp is causing controversy among parents. In it, she calls on Christ-centered, family-focused parents to apply to join new curriculum and policy committees that would in part help consider science curriculum for grades 3 through 5. The Rockland Unified School District says they are aware of the social media post and, quote, Trustee Hupp has always been proud of diversity of our community and hopes to see it represented in all of our communities. Parents tell us they are now asking for more transparency on who serves on committees. And school boards are the largest body of elected officials. They decide on textbooks, curriculums, school policies, hiring a superintendent, and also creating the annual budget. Traditionally, school boards are nonpartisan elections, but in the last few years, things have shifted. So to talk about why, I want to go ahead and bring in Troy Flint with California School Board Association. How have school boards changed just over the last 2 to 3 years?
I think what you see is that the work that school boards do has become much more visible, much more scrutinized, and much more politicized. And that is having a detrimental effect on the ability of school boards to function in the way their role is envisioned.
What do you think is the most detrimental impact on their function in today's climate?
The lack of a sense of common purpose of what our schools are supposed to do, both from an academic standpoint and from a student support standpoint. And this sort of devolution into a constant political cultural war instead of elevating above these partisan ideologies for what is good for the student body as a whole. The key is that there needs to be a focus on a vision and a mission, and that the board and everybody on down through staff is executing according to the basic principles of that vision and mission. School is a very intimate environment in the sense that you're responsible for educating people's children. There are going to be a lot of political and cultural preferences brought to the table, and you're never going to be able to completely separate that from the fundamentals of education, which is the academics. But you need to be able to take that feedback from your public to reflect to some extent the desires of your community, while at the same time balancing that against the needs and welfare of all students.
Troy, thank you. And California has about 5,000 school board seats. We will be watching those elections, among many others, next year. In other news, the FBI is now helping the Yolo County Sheriff's Office investigate bomb threats against the Mary L. Stevens Davis Library. One was received this morning, forcing 2 nearby schools to go on lockdown. Another threat was received last Monday, a day after a heated meeting at the library about transgender student athletes. The sheriff's office says the bomb threats share a common thread of hateful content and revolve around a heated meeting. Explosions and a fire were heard and seen at Grant Line Road and Jackson Highway and Slough House this afternoon. Sacramento Metro Fire says 3 vehicles crashed and tripped high voltage power lines. A garbage truck was also involved in the accident. A helicopter dropped water on the vehicles and 3 people were taken to the hospital. Farmers Insurance is cutting 2,400 jobs, or 11% of its workforce, in what they say is an effort to ensure long-term profitability. Farmers tells the Associated Press that today was the last working day at the company for most employees impacted by the layoffs. Farmers, along with other insurance companies like Allstate, State Farm, and AIG, have pulled back on property insurance policies in the state. They say they need to reduce their risk exposure to natural disasters like wildfires and the cost of rebuilding. As we have been reporting on this on To The Point, this has forced homeowners to find new expensive policies or sign up for California's FAIR Plan. A San Francisco staple has officially closed its doors, joining a growing list of stores that are moving out of the city's downtown. The flagship Nordstrom store closed after more than 2 decades. The city reports that sales tax revenue for this area has declined by 25% from the first quarter of 2019 to 2023. The way that people shop, it's just changed. And then also crime in the area is a major concern. The city is now trying pop-up stores in this area. San Francisco's mayor says they're even looking at building a new soccer stadium.
It's not just a plan for a soccer stadium. It's showing people what is possible, that we're starting to think about what is downtown in light of the challenges around retail.
The city says they are also looking at changing laws and reforming taxes to try to attract more businesses to the area. Coming up on To The Point, when and where PG&E could be turning off the power.
And that's all because we've got a higher fire danger day coming up Tuesday into Wednesday. Northerly winds overnight, especially Tuesday, Wednesday, will be strong. Combine that with low relative humidity. We've got a fire weather watch to talk about, and we'll detail that after the break.
Plus, marking 60 years since the March on Washington and the renewed call for Martin Luther King's dream.
Everybody there, Sweden, England, Germany, everybody was there smiling. It was not one of those mixed crowds. Okay. People started holding hands.
It was a nice and hot summer day today. This was the view just north of downtown Sacramento and the rail yards, the future home of new housing and a soccer stadium. But things are about to change. PG&E is warning they might need to shut off the power for about 8,000 customers in the counties on your screen right now due to increasing fire danger. That includes Colusa, Glenn, Shasta, Tehama, Lake, Napa, and Yolo counties. PG&E says that they will not be sending out texts and emails to those impacted. They will be sending out texts and emails. They will not be calling people because the power is expected to go out around 3 a.m. on Wednesday. So we have meteorologist Brendan Minchef now who's joining us. Brendan, we have been able to avoid the increased fire danger for a little while, but that is now back on the table.
Back on the table, right? We've been saying it for really months at this point, and certainly over the last few weeks, that we're not out of the woods when it comes to fire danger. So we need to be ready. We need to be prepared. Tuesday, Wednesday, and especially the overnight hours, Tuesday into Wednesday, is when this does look to be strongest. So those winds gusting 35 miles per hour at those times. And again, as you just heard, in our area, Colusa and Yolo counties will be some of the most impacted by the winds and the potential power shutoffs as well. So here's that fire weather watch goes into effect Tuesday evening. This does not include Sacramento County, even though it's on the map. It's just the way the Weather Service issues those watches and warnings, makes it look like the county is in there. It, in fact, is not part of the fire weather watch as things stand. Let's look at those future wind gusts. This is Tuesday morning, and you see winds very standard out of the southeast, even some westerly winds as we get some of that Delta influence, but things flip as we go through the afternoon into the evening hours Tuesday. So at 11 o'clock p.m., that's when that fire weather watch begins, and that's when those winds really start making their way down the valley. They'll be strongest along and west of Interstate 5. And again, even though Sacramento's not included in this fire weather watch, we will likely still see gusts close to 35 miles per hour. This model is underdoing it. Again, I'm expecting gusts closer to 35. It's suggesting 15 to 20. I would expect to see gusts 25 to 35 miles per hour overnight Tuesday into Wednesday. Combine that with some low relative humidity values with very poor overnight recovery in the Sacramento Valley, and then worsening again as we go through the daytime on Wednesday. That's why that fire danger risk will be pretty high. In addition to that, temperatures will be warmer on Wednesday. We'll be closer to 100 degrees. Tomorrow, we're back in those middle 90s with those increasing north winds. So now is the time to be prepared. If you haven't packed that go bag yet, remember the 5 Ps in this order. People, 1 bag for each of the for each person in your household. A bag for your pets as well. Important documents, your papers, right? That's the P word, papers. Marriage certificates, birth certificates, social security cards, deeds. Make sure you have all those with you. Prescriptions, if you take prescription medication, you're going to need those as well. Lastly, this one's a little bit optional, but photos. If you have anything that's particularly sentimental to you, if you have anything that's maybe a family heirloom, historical photos you want to keep, make sure you have those as well. But again, that one is a little bit more optional than the rest of them. Highest fire danger overnight Tuesday into Wednesday. That's when we could see those power shutoffs as well. Thursday is a bit of a transition day. Look at Friday. Highs in the upper 70s for much of the valley. We'll stay in those upper 70s to mid 80s pretty much all the way through the upcoming holiday weekend, Alex. But we do have to get through these next 36, 48 hours.
All right, thanks, Brendan. Next, on to the point, marking 60 years since the March on Washington and the renewed call for Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream.
My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
More shootings across America. Tonight, a college faculty member is dead. UNC Chapel Hill was on lockdown today because of the shooting. Students and faculty barricaded themselves in dorm rooms, offices, and classrooms for hours. Investigators say a faculty member was killed and a suspect was arrested. A motive isn't known and the weapon has not been found. A memorial is growing outside a Dollar General store in Jacksonville, Florida. Police say a self-proclaimed white supremacist used an AR-15 style rifle and a handgun to kill 3 black people at the store on Saturday. A woman was shot and killed in the parking lot. A 19-year-old employee and a 29-year-old father were killed inside the store. The suspect took his own life. The Jacksonville shooting happened the same day thousands marked 60 years since the March on Washington.
We will never betray those who marched for us, fought for us, lived for us, died for us.
Thousands marched on Capitol Hill, where 60 years ago, Martin Luther King Jr. gave his I Have a Dream speech from the Lincoln Memorial. Dr. King's relatives were among those who spoke on Saturday, expressing their concerns about the direction the country is heading.
Instead of moving forward, it feels as if we're moving backward. The question is, what are we going to do? Do we realize that it is we the people who can make changes, represent history in the right way, ensure that hatred and hostility is not espoused all over our nation?
After the speeches, the crowd marched to the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial. 60 years ago, people of all races marched for freedom in the March on Washington. Dr. King led the event, described as a key moment in the civil rights movement. Our Walt Gray spoke with Sacramento's Lewis Morton, a pioneering journalist who was there.
The mood of the day was serious, but relaxed. 200,000 strong, they marched in the largest demonstration for civil rights in the history of the United States.
Everybody there, Sweden, England, Germany, everybody was there smiling. It was not one of those mixed crowds. Okay. People started holding hands.
What's your strongest memory of that day? Is it a sight? Is it a sound?
My strongest memory may be two. People. I've never seen that many people, Americans, with smiles on their faces. Okay. And Dr. King, he mesmerized the whole group of people that were there.
I think this march will go down as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, demonstrations for freedom and human dignity ever held in the United States.
You know how he had this inflection of voice? He'd go up, he'd go down, that old black preacher style. And he did it. He commanded everybody.
A cross-section of the 50 states were represented as they progressed along the avenue, loosely grouped together by states or organizations or busloads.
So you're riding on the bus from Brooklyn to Washington. What did you expect when you got off?
You know, I didn't really know, but the bus was hired by a local church that I attended. But we got off the bus, and right away people were greeting us, giving us sandwiches and sodas.
Cheese sandwiches. Yeah.
And coffee. And so it was a magnificent day, magnificent day.
Lewis Morton is responsible for integrating a news station in Seattle. He also spent years reporting in Los Angeles at a time when there weren't many faces of color in television. In the Georgia indictments, former President Donald Trump and his 18 co-defendants are now set for their first court appearance in their election interference case in Fulton County. A judge says that they will be arraigned separately in 15-minute increments on September 6th, with Trump going first. One of the co-defendants, former Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, had a hearing in federal court today arguing that his trial should be moved from Fulton County to a federal jurisdiction. And in a surprise move, Meadows took the stand to make his case. And in Washington today, a judge ruled that Trump's federal trial on charges related to trying to overturn the 2020 election, including the deadly attack on the Capitol, will begin on March 4th. That's the day before Super Tuesday on the GOP primary calendar. In Washington, lawmakers are considering a bill that would expand who qualifies for disaster assistance. California Senator Alex Padilla visited Slough House today to promote that change, and he says the bill would expand limits that determine which growers can participate in USDA programs, including disaster relief. He is hoping to include the proposal in the 2023 Farm Bill, which is a federal agricultural bill that we typically see renew every 5 years. Farmers we spoke with today say that they hope to see more efficient and effective administration of relief programs.
They need to streamline it to where they get the money out there when a disaster happens, and get it fixed.
Farmers in the Slough House area dealt with levee breaks and a lot of flooding this past winter. 8 months later, they are still dealing with those impacts. Next, on to the point, honoring the fallen, the special ceremony for Roseville Sergeant Nicole G. Today was the first day of the new semester at Sacramento State. The university is under new leadership. Dr. Luke Wood earned his bachelor's degree in Black history and politics, and then earned his master's degree in higher education leadership. And tonight, Roseville is making sure that a fallen Marine is never forgotten. A road is now officially renamed in honor of fallen Marine Sergeant Nicole G. She died 2 years ago on a rescue mission in Afghanistan during the U.S. withdrawal. She was killed in a suicide bombing at just 23 years old. Hundreds attended today's ceremony in her honor, from members of Congress to military to supporters and her family.
I know that everyone who was there with her is here with her today in spirit and continuing to spread her name and honor her. And this is one thing that it'll spread her name for as long as this road is still here, which is probably going to be thousands of years. And it's an extremely awesome way to honor her.
Sergeant G grew up in Roseville and graduated from Oakmont High in 2016. And if you want to visit Nicole G Drive, it's off of Fittyment Road and Pleasant Grove Boulevard. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Let us know what's going on in your world. Make sure you reach out to me and the team. You can send us an email to thepoint@abc10.com. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow. Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.